What up, y'all? So we recently saw Strong. We're gonna talk about it. So instead of doing like a whole rundown, I think we should talk about like what we liked or what worked and what we didn't like or what didn't work. You know what I'm trying to say? And we're gonna just discuss certain parts of the movie. So if you haven't, please go watch it and then come back and listen to our discussions. What did you like about the movie? Like let's start on a positive note. As you know, I'm not fond of Tyler Perry movies pretty much ever, right? He brought a lady that could act, which was Taraji P. Henson. And when the movie kind of clicked for me was when the kind of bank heist hostage situation started. She did well there. Like, basically, you could tell like this woman is broken, she's tired, and all she wanted was a check, right? Even though like certain things that her like pulling the gun out, things like that was like a little annoying for her to act like she didn't do nothing. I understood where she was kind of coming from. Like, just give me my money so I can go pay my rent and take care of my kid.
Right.
And then, of course, that part where they streamed her talking to the detective on the phone, and she was just basically telling like I just needed a break, and like nobody's giving me a break, and it made me break. You know, I fucked with it, and her with Sherry Shepherd, Tiana Taylor, like those three ladies really, for me, in my opinion, held that movie up on their shoulders. Tyler Perry went with three other actresses. The movie probably would have been worse than what it already was.
Right.
But those three during the bank part definitely made it watchable for that part of it. That was probably the best part in my opinion. I guess you could say cinematography was good. I wasn't mad at anything. I wasn't like critiquing how it was shot or edited. For me mainly was like some of the writing. Taraji, Sherry, and Tiana. That's about it. Outside of that, I got a lot more other things to say about the writing and the plot.
Yeah, I would have to say probably just the acting. Like, I did a good job of showing the whole day was tragic. The whole day was just like this woman not being able to get not one break, and everybody just not giving her any grace, and how that can affect someone in the long run. And I think they did a great job at showing that. Some of you, they did a great job with the acting. I expect that from them. I think that was probably the best part of the movie for me.
Okay, so I'm just gonna fucking spoil it right now. Spoiler alert. Once again, if you have not seen this, you need to watch it because I'm about to spoil the big spoiler point so I can talk about some of the things that did not work. So literally late into the movie, late into the heist, you find out that, which is one of the reasons Taraji P. Henson's character is robbing the bank, is you find out that, she's kind of doing it for one, to have a place to stay, also for her child to have a roof over her head, and also like money for school. You find out that the night before she had a child that died from like a seizure, and that the 5 or 6 year old child that we've been seeing the whole time was just a hallucination. So in the beginning, when you saw her laying in the bed, when you saw her in the bath, when you see her being dropped off at school, being taken by CPS, getting a call from the school, all of that was like a hallucination. It was terrible because there's so many movies that have done that very well, where you're watching an unreliable narrator, and then later on there's like a epiphany moment or whatever when you find out that like some of the scenes you've been seeing is just they hallucinated, or there were people there that wasn't there. Like I can name like Fight Club, Sixth Sense, Joker. There's a bunch of movies that do that. Tons of other movies that I can't name at the moment, but
yeah, where you come to find out that they were like hallucinating, and the way that they recount, like the way that they go over those scenes again is like, oh shit, like they really did make it where it could be either or.
One of the things that those type of movies do is they show the same exact scene, but like first they show the scene normally, like where you think everything is okay and normal with the people, and then later on you see that like those same scenes play out without. And he fucked that part up, like the bath, her dropping off the kid being taken by CPS. All that was like done wrong, and that's why you were sitting there like, what the fuck is this? There was a few things I had ended up picking out that just like, now that when I think about it, it didn't make sense. First thing was like, remember when the daughter was in the bath and she was playing with this weird looking toy? Didn't I say that thing looked like a bomb?
Yeah, you did.
And then lo and behold, it comes to play. People think she has a bomb in her book bag. Right now, with her having a kid, some kids do that. Some kids play with stuff. Some kids just make toys out of things you wouldn't think. Sometimes some kids are smart and they show that they have like some ingenuity for like engineering or making things. So they might make stuff like that. After you find out that there was no 6, 7, 8 year old child, why was that made? There was no explanation for that. She just had some pipes that she tied together with wire and lights and stuff for no reason. Like, what was that? Where did that come from? That fell short after you find out that the child wasn't real. Remember her mother called her and she said, your baby died yesterday.
It was a baby.
Yeah, it was an infant. Yeah, it was a newborn.
So then what was the point of her imagining a 6-year-old?
Exactly. If anything, it should have been a baby. Where did she get a 6-year-old from? Well, no, she had a newborn, and all of a sudden, baby dies that night unfortunately from seizures. And then she all of a sudden wakes up the next morning and thinks she has an 8-year-old child, huh? And what she just put $40 out of her head for lunch? My kid is a teenager. She ain't never said I need $40 for lunch. You know, like what?
Why the hell was she even imagining a 6, 7? I could see if like her hallucinations had to do with her like having a baby in the crib, changing, you know what I mean? Like going through, like maybe going to a daycare or something like that. Like that would make sense. A 7, 8 year old, like it didn't make any sense to go back and it come out that maybe past like the baby was a baby. Like, all right. I think in his mind, he was like, yo, this ain't never gonna believe this. And
I've watched many movie and TV show that does this. When you go back and watch it again, you see those little indications where you're like, oh, okay, that person's not real. Because like when you're first watching it, you don't say so for instance, whenever there's like an imaginary character, they make it look like they're talking to both of them, right? But then when you go back and look, you can tell they're not talking to the other one, they're talking to whoever's real. Well, you don't question it in the beginning. That's the thing, you don't question it in the beginning because usually because of the angles that it's shot. Of course, when they go back, they show it from a different angle, and you can see that the woman that walks up to them and asks us, what do y'all want to eat, or what do you want to eat? She's not looking at the guy that she was originally talking. She was looking at the one that's real. They're like, oh.
It would have made more sense for the bottles to be shown without no name on them, and then when it scans around, it shows that it's her name, and they're like pills for people that are going through like psychosis or some shit. You know what I mean? Like that would make a lot more sense.
Another thing that pissed me off, and this is what Tyler Perry not normally does in his movie. In the very like beginning, it was just too much happening to this woman. It was too much. Waking up, house dirty as shit. Waking up, bathing baby in a tub worthy of Shanny.
Can we just talk about that really quick? Because I hate that part too. Like, you know, people who are in impoverished situations, they don't all live like that. Like some people do, yes. My mother used to tell me a story that she had a neighbor. That neighbor had about 3 pieces of furniture. But she said, but that floor you can eat off of. Like just because you live in poverty don't mean you're dirty. And there's plenty of people who don't have a lot of money that their homes are not dirty like that. The fact that she is clearly mentally ill, that could be the reason for the disarray. I can understand it, but the portrayal initially is her being impoverished and living like a slob. And I just hate that depiction because plenty of people who don't have money who don't live like that, you know?
Yeah, also they're trying to show that she's a good mom and takes care of kids. Well, one of the things of taking care of your kids is make sure they live in a clean house. Yeah, so if CPS came over there and saw that, they might have a problem with that. I didn't like that either. Tub was disgusting. And it was just too much. Get to work. Oh, let's talk about the job, okay? Gets to work and the line is almost to the damn fucking meat department in the frozen aisle, right? And then like the boss like, where you been? Like, nigga, why you ain't on a register right now? Right. As soon as she came in, you should have been like, where you been? Yo, that boss the Grinch or something? Like he was like the Grinch in a blackface. Like I couldn't stand him. The boss annoyed me a lot. He was too villainous. Things like if you either like a general manager or you owning a business, you got to be out, and especially if it's like a small business, you got to be out there getting your hands dirty too. You don't let your store go into that type of disarray and then blame it on the employee. He only stepped in to do the register when he was firing her ass the next time she came back in there. The main thing that really pissed me off was like when the guy came to rob the store, and then because she had her name tag, and he read her name tag, and he's like, you knew you did this. I'm like, what?
He was terrible, but I'm like, God damn, like he was just unnecessarily just cruel. And even in that moment, like you said,
that's the only person she heard that I was happy about. Like, I was like, yeah, okay, there you go, that's fine. You know?
But even that didn't make sense because if she had just lost her baby, right? He was acting like she always has that problem. Like, oh, you always got this issue. And, you know, that was bad, right? If she just had the baby, then that means at least for a month, she shouldn't even been working yet. You know, it made no sense.
Yeah, that was bad. Tessa was annoying. Not as bad as anybody else, but like the snitch, yeah, Tessa. But like when somebody got a gun and possibly a bomb, you might want to just shut the fuck up. You don't want to be too pushy and annoying because that might end up, you know, unaliving you. But like I was saying in the beginning, it was just too much. Like he was just putting too much on top of this woman. And like I said, I get it. It was just trying to do the one bad thing, but it was too much, man. It's at once. A lot of these movies, when they do that, it's a progression. It's not just all in one day, you know?
It was like the worst things that could happen to her in one day happen, and in rapid succession. I mean, even down to like the cop, he had full on road rage against her. And then was like, yeah, I'm gonna blow your brains out.
If I see you again, yeah, which was another point that came up later. And it was just, and then, like I said, the twist was just terrible. When all the hostages are let go, except for Sherry Shepherd's character, they're getting ready to leave. And then all of a sudden, like, you see, like, the glass roof bursting, flashbangs are thrown in, people are coming in, they all got these guns with these green laser points and stuff pointing at Taraji's character. And then she just gets popped and hits the floor dead, boom. Right, and then I told you before, I said they're gonna pump fake us, think that she got killed, and she gonna be back alive. And boom, she was back alive. Goes out, gets arrested normally, like in the most gentle way, ends up in the back of the car. I've seen this a lot on the internet. People are asking, which ending is the real ending. So I think that's the other reason that he was like, this is the best movie I ever made. Because he did 2 twist type, and like, because she's like we said, she's an unreliable narrator. So she could have gotten killed, and
he's in his suspense bag. Like, he's really trying to do these suspense movies, and he's obviously grabbing inspiration from different places, which there's nothing wrong with that. Again, the problem with him is that, like, his formula has worked for however long it's worked, right? But now that he's going into another genre, he doesn't really have the writing. I mean, he didn't really have the writing chops for the other stuff, but it worked. Again, it's like, why won't you employ young people with fresh ideas, or just people with fresh ideas, point blank? They ain't gotta be young, but people with fresh ideas that could bring another formula. You know what I mean? Because he's sticking with the same formula. Tragedy, downtrodden woman, the world just beating up on her, can't get a nice ending. Because even with this one, why couldn't this ending be good?
if he did some writing tweaks with the kid thing, it could have been like, holy shit. You know what I'm saying? It didn't even have to be a baby. Her daughter, at the age she was, could have had a seizure the night or 2 before and passed away.
That would have made sense.
It would have made way more sense, right? That she was hallucinating this child.
It would have made way more sense that she was in the hospital with her. She unfortunately passed away, and then the next day it's just her having lost her mind and hallucinating this entire thing. Or her hallucinating the entire thing, and then you see her wake up somewhere after having like a psychotic break or some shit like that. I don't know. But I also feel like, damn, why couldn't it be, we would write a happy movie? I think a lot more people want to see these stories. Yes, people go through things and all that, but I think a lot more people want to see these stories end a little bit differently, because like, people go through things, but at the same time, art, like, imitates life. You can come out of these, situations.
I see what you're saying. I like movies with messed up endings, but you just gotta do them right sometimes, and he didn't lay the tracks for it. I'm gonna be honest, if he did do the kid part right and a few other parts right, if her getting popped in would have sucked, but it still couldn't have worked.
I guess it's because of what the overall storyline was about, is what I'm saying. Like, why can't it be a positive ending? But I agree with you. I don't mind a bad ending if it's done well. I just think overall the formula that he's using for these movies can sometimes seem like, damn, even his suspenses have to have some woman getting beat up on. Women cannot do well in this man's accomplished and all that. They just are a victim to their sexuality. They're a victim to their carnal desires, and they will fucking risk everything for that. And I think people are tired of that portrayal of women. And then to add to that, they're Black women, right? So obviously there's also that. So I don't know. It's just like, come on, Tyler, you gotta have something better. You have the resources. You get some great actresses and actors on your movies that you're not short of talent, but he just refuses to get people to write something. Imagine what we would get with Tyler, with his resources, and like some Jordan Peele's, or like some, you know what I mean? Like some young, fresh writer. Get about it. You kidding me? You could come out. You could really be sitting there boasting about, like, this is the best movie I ever created. No. That's Taraji P. Henson having a mental breakdown over a kid that never got to be 7 years old, but somehow she imagined a kid at 7 years old.
If y'all can't tell, we didn't like this movie. It sucked. Don't watch it. Too many like inconsistencies in this movie. Like I said, it had us in the middle. The middle part definitely had us. But
yeah, we liked it in the middle. We were like, okay, all right. I want to see where he's going with this.
The twist ruined it though. So that's our verdict. It sucked. Don't go see it. Or you can see it and then watch this, or vice versa.
Let us know.
All right, y'all. Well, do us a favor. Let us know in the comments what y'all thought. Did you like it? Did you not? Above us, YouTube is telling you stuff to click on. That's our shit. Watch it. Watch it now. All right, y'all. Later.
All right, y'all.
Jesus Christ, I hate this guy.